what Israel is doing in Gaza right now is unconscionable, and it has to stop. We have to stand up and speak out about it. And the problem is not, that really the occupation. The problem is that Israel is an ethnic state, and ethnic states are immoral and they don't work. And we have to encourage Israel through BDS and through listening to the Palestinian call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions to become a secular democracy that protects Jews, Muslims, and Christians equally and gives everyone equal human rights. And without that, there is no solution.
But Nate brought up something, with Israel, and I saw this from Max Blumenthal on Twitter this morning,
right?
And I just think you got to read it. Actually, I'm sorry, it was from yesterday. I saw him tweet this.
Oh, the story that I tweeted that he wrote.
No, there's
Another
that,
one?
but there's also he pointed out that in the New York Times coverage of it, Jody Ruderin, that's how you say her name. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, I'm familiar with her. I'm actually not sure how you pronounce the last
she's
name.
covering this.
She's their correspondent. Yeah.
And this particular paragraph is just unbelievable to me. If you need any proof at how blatantly biased America's views on this Israel-Palestine situation is, here's this paragraph.
Go ahead.
The developments followed a relatively quiet night in which the Israeli military bombed 25 sites in Gaza, killing 5 Palestinians in the southern cities of Rafah and Khan Yunis, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. About 1,400 others have been wounded. A quiet night consists of the deaths of 5 Palestinians with another 1,400 Palestinians wounded. That's a quiet night. But let me tell you, if one Israeli was so much as touched by shrapnel, we would have never heard the end of it.
Well, the first Israeli has died since the outfit.
Yeah, and we've heard plenty of reports about that.
Sure, and of course all this followed the murder of the 3 Israeli teenagers. Okay, look, let me get to this, I guess. So I want to provide a little bit more context. So, I mean, basically, look, there are 3 factions in the Palestinian in Palestinian politics. I mean, there are more, but you can kind of roughly think of 3 groups of people. There's the Palestinian Authority. There's Mahmoud Abbas, who is located, in Ramallah in the West Bank. He's the Palestinian leader. He's unelected. There's a lot of skepticism about him amongst the Palestinian people, and he runs the Palestinian Authority. And the Palestinian Authority, if you believe in the peace process and in 2 states, and I would actually make a distinction. I think that you can be a supporter of 2 states and understand that the peace process is a fraud, and it's never been properly implemented, and settlements have continued to be built, and it's not been implemented. And the way it's been deployed is fraudulent. And now under, Bibi has officially said, we're not doing it, period. Clearly, he was never going to do it, but he's now officially said it. He said that recently. Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen, is the faction, the Palestinian Authority, that is helping Israeli security, that is basically a subcontractor of Israeli security in the occupied territories, and is by far the only faction that is in any way observing or tipping their hat to a 2-state settlement. So that's one faction. Then you have Hamas in Gaza. Gaza's under siege. And let's be really clear when we talk about, an uneventful night of 26 bombing targets in Gaza. Gaza is, as we've said, you're talking about bombing a place with the population density of a place like Queens, maybe Manhattan. It's an open-air prison. It's under siege. Vital supplies cannot get in. And the coast is blockaded. It's a coastal place. And about 50% of the population is children by UN definition. So that includes, obviously, teenagers. So that is the situation in Gaza. It's run by Hamas. Hamas has obviously deployed terrorist methods like shooting these homemade rockets into Israel. Many years ago, they did suicide operations in Israel. And that's their politics. Then you have the rise of the BDS movement, which Nate talked about, and that's a civil society movement in Palestine. There's a lot of support amongst the youth. that, yeah, they want forms of secular binational states, and there's all sorts of different scenarios and creative thinking about how that would look. And what they're asking is the international community and people in solidarity with Palestinians to observe boycott. And people observe boycotts in different ways. Some people boycott Israel, period. Other people boycott only products that are like SodaStream that are made within the occupied territories. Those are the three factions we're talking about. And I think that's just important to get clear about who we're talking about and what we're talking about when we talk about Palestinian politics. Those are roughly the three factions. Hamas, PA are both very unpopular right now for their lack of effectiveness in representing the Palestinian people and for their own internal repression and internal failures. And if anything actually would help Hamas right now, it's what Israel's doing in Gaza.